Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets. Hi everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, January the 22nd, one of the more competitive betting races of the entire weekend. Let's throw up the field for race number 8 at Oaklawn Park. It's the American Beauty Stakes, 3/4 of a mile for fillies and mares, $150,000 is the purse. You can download free Formulator past performances for this race on the race of the day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us, and once you've made your final determinations, you can play this race and the entire Oaklawn Park card on Saturday with your DRF Bets account. 5-2 morning line on the one Lil Tootsie. She's been on a roll for Tom Amoss, but you can go a lot of different ways in here.
Yeah, you can. This is a wide open race. I don't know who the horse to beat in here is, Dan. I think you could make that case for a lot of different horses. It might be Little Tootsie though. To me, she's just a really good sprinter. I understand, they tried to stretch her out a couple of times and it didn't, necessarily work out. I don't know what the idea was trying her on turf at Saratoga. That didn't work either. But overall, her dirt sprint form is excellent. Her last 2 wins, very good. There's plenty of pace in here to set up her run. I have no knocks on this horse.
Let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector for the American Beauty Stakes. Sarah Harper, stepping up into a stakes race for the first time, is expected to make the lead, but I wouldn't be surprised if the 3 Ain't No Elmers returning to her best surface, that being dirt, puts a little heat on her. This pace could get quick, might even fall into that red bar scenario.
Yeah, I thought there was enough pace in this race. Certainly Ain't No Elmers feels like she's going to go. Sarah Harper is obviously going to go, but there are other horses with speed. There are plenty of horses who are, comfortable tracking up close. A couple of really good closers too. There's a lot going on here.
After a third-place finish in the Grade 2 Prioress at Saratoga on Labor Day weekend, Tom Amoss gave Lil Tootsie a little bit of a break, and it has really worked out. 2 nice wins, including this score at Oaklawn back in December in an allowance race. And what you like about Lil Tootsie is she has no problem passing horses and could take advantage if the pace is fast on Saturday. We see her get a big seam. She splits horses and professionally rolls on by.
Yeah, the trip really worked out for her in this race, but she was also much the best. This is a pretty easy win, just a sort of strong hand ride to the finish. 2 starts back, they didn't get that same kind of trip there. They just swept around that field on the outside, much the best again. She's got really good form anyway, and it feels like she might even be getting better now.
Joy's Rocket, the number 2, is a rather versatile filly. She's good on dirt, she's good on turf, she's good on synthetic. Her most recent race, she was the beaten favorite against Wildwood's Beauty, but it was her first start off of a short layoff. She was racing over a muddy track. Can you give her a mulligan for that race? Because her prior effort in the Raven Run was pretty good with a big fig.
Yeah, I don't mind anybody who wants to give her a pass for that most recent start off the layoff. Didn't break that sharply from the gate. Just sort of started chasing around the turn there. And once she couldn't reach, she got very tired at the end of the race, but maybe she just needed it off the little layoff, Dan. I don't think she's as good as the 95 buyer makes her look in the Raven Run at the end of last year. She got a great trip in that race. She ran really well in there, but she also got a great trip in that race. I think she's probably somewhere in between. But that doesn't mean she can't win this race. It feels like she's got plenty of tactical speed to land a good trip.
I've always been a fan of the 3 Ain't No Elmers, but I must admit I've been a little bit disappointed. She's yet to break through against stakes competition. I'm not interested in her last race on turf. That's not her game. 2 starts back on the dirt. She was part of the pace. Lil Tootsie was just better than her as the favorite that day. And if she has to deal with Sarah Harper early, she could be in trouble.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, the race 2 back when Little Tootsie beat her, where she went favored also in that race, it certainly wasn't her best race. But man, that she's better than that. She's got plenty of races, even just from last year, that would make her really, really tough in here. I, didn't look at your picks before this race. I just assumed that you would be picking this horse, especially at 12-1, because I know you're a big fan.
Perfect Happiness, the number four. I think Brad Cox has done a very good job with this mare. Earlier in her career, she was a speedball, very, very fast out of the gate. But in her last two races, she has shown the willingness to sit off other horses, and I think it's helped her out a lot. Two back at Oaklawn winning an allowance race, and then last time out running a pretty good second to Wildwood's Beauty. She is in good form. She has that one fig two back.
Yeah, she is in good form. I liked her win two back. Just always very confidently ridden. Sarah Harper, who was on the lead that day. This filly didn't really look like she was that bothered by that horse making the front. Just sat off of her, and I thought won that race pretty easily at the end. Didn't necessarily love the trip she got last time, Dan. Rated down on the rail in the early stages, lost a spot with horses dropping in front of her as they entered the far turn in that race. I thought she did pretty well to be second in that spot. I have no problem with this horse either.
When watching Lil Tootsie's formulator replay, we saw Abrogate, the number five, finish second. And Abrogate's going to try to repeat the pattern that she utilized last year, where she won in her first start of the form cycle, then was beaten, then came back to win. This form cycle, a win, beaten by Lil Tootsie. Maybe she gets that win third start back. What I know about her is she has great tactical speed, and she should be sitting just off the lead when the real racing commences.
Yeah, I can see her getting a good trip. I got to be honest, I'm not much of a fan of this horse. She's run some good races, obviously, and maybe she'll just fall into a trip here. I know that she, likes Oaklawn Park just fine as well. I don't know. I didn't really feel like she ran that well last time. Little Tootsie to me was just a lot better than she was, even with Little Tootsie getting a perfect trip in there. And I just, wouldn't want to bet her off of any of her races from last year either. 7-2 on the morning line. That's not for me.
The six, Sarah Harper, gets the class test. She'll be stepping up into stakes company for the first time, but she's raced 5 times and she's never finished worse than third. Let's watch her most recent start. This was only less than 2 weeks ago in an optional claiming affair, and Sarah Harper just dusted them on the lead as an odds-on favorite. She's going to hold sway despite drifting out a little bit in the lane. She has very consistent buyers. I think she has some upside. It is worth noting, Perfect Happiness ran her down on the square two back.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest problem I had with this horse, and that she really didn't have any excuse, and she was just no match for Perfect Happiness in that race. I know she got back on the beam last time. She still has upside, and I think it is a confident move that Mocut's going to run her back in this race. I don't know. I just didn't really want to bet her off of that race 2 starts back then, because to me that just suggests she has to improve a lot. And ain't no Elmer's is going from the inside in this race, so it feels like she's not going to get loose on the lead in here.
Mike, would you agree that the 7 Candura is just the definition of a dirtied up horse that might be able to sort of explode from off the pace at a big price?
Yeah, that's how I looked at her for sure. I didn't even feel like she ran that poorly last time over a wet track, but trying to win that race from last, that just wasn't really going to happen. But she kept making up ground all through this stretch. I feel like she ran a deceptively good race last time. And the only other 2 times they sprinted her on dirt, both, here last April, I thought she ran great in both of those races.
I really loved her race on April the 25th, 2021, especially where she was on hold and then just rallied strongly to win. And then after that race, I'm not exactly sure what the plan was. Turf, a 2-turn race at Los Alamitos, and then it wasn't her fault that she caught a muddy track. She actually ran really well that day. I think she's dirtied up. She should be sharp in her second start of the form cycle, and I think she's running late at 12-1 for Jerry Hollendorfer. Wildwood's Beauty, sort of the gatekeeper of the local division for filly and mare sprinters. 16 of 23 in the top 2, including this victory over 3 of these same rivals at Oaklawn Park over a muddy track. And Wildwood's Beauty just went right to the front in this race, and she kept right on going. A nice performance for Wildwood's Beauty. She's always steady. It's not like she needs the lead to win, and she hadn't won in a long time before this race. Maybe the mud moved her up.
It was nice to see her get back to the winner's circle. She is a horse who, has struggled at times, to find herself in front at the wire. She's always around it at the end, but she often comes up short. More than anything else, Dan, I think the ride did it last time. They weren't going that fast on the early lead, and her jock just said, you know what, let's take this thing over and make them chase. And once they took over around the turn, nobody could really catch her. She ran well, but I think the trip had a lot to do with it.
While Candura, the number 7, looms a sleeper at a price, I think so does the 9, Miss Mosaic. I realize Miss Mosaic is 0 for 7 on dirt. She's done her damage on synthetic for trainer Ben Colbrook, but she ran pretty well last time out at Park. She was wired by Jakarta, a backclasser in the Mrs. Claus Stakes. Jakarta got to the front. Miss Mosaic used some energy to get into position, and she tries her best to finish second in this race. And if you just look at the company lines of her races, she was in against Center Isle, who has a lot of promise 2 starts back. She banged heads with Bells the One and Lady Rocket. I just think this is a good fit for her, especially in a race full of pace.
Yeah, I won't argue with any of that. I just sort of wonder when I look at her, Dan, if she's just not a mare who just runs to her competition in her races. So there's some figures, but she's always coming up short in those races. When they go a little bit slower, she still doesn't get the job done. I get that Jakarta wired that field last time. I don't think Jakarta is very good, and I certainly wouldn't like Jakarta in this race. So I don't know. I feel like this horse could get a piece of it. I'd be reluctant to put her on top.
Top pick time for the American Beauty Stakes. I think Mike hinted at who he liked. Candura got a ringing endorsement. She is going to be a price, 12 to 1 on the morning line. You're betting her.
Yeah, I'm betting her in this race. I just feel like, for all the reasons that we sort of laid out when we talked about her before, Dan, I just feel like she makes sense in this race. She's not going to take that much money because she doesn't look great on paper. Really feel like that race off the layoff last time is a little bit underrated. I think she ran better than it looks.
We look at this race a little bit differently. Sarah Harper, to me, has got the upside. The key is, can she put Ain't No Elmers away? Now, I'm a big fan of Ain't No Elmers. I threw her out in here, which means she's a winner. But I think she's not the same mare. And if Sarah Harper can maybe get her confidence up a little bit, she might be clear turning into the stretch. I am curious to see if Perfect Happiness can run well for Brad Cox at a decent price. She's 8 to 1 on the line. I'm going to use those two. 7-1-2-3 for Mike, 6-4-9-7 for me in the American Beauty, your DRF formulator race of the day. Good luck.